All right. Thank you everybody for coming out to the Epizones training day. And today we are going to be talking about the market analyzer. But before we dive into that topic, I just want to make sure that everybody here in attendance today knows that questions are welcome, and we want to make sure that you guys get the most out of this. So if you guys have any questions related to what we're going to be talking about today, please feel free to ask, as well as if you guys have any questions on anything else in the APA suites that I can help you with, please feel free to ask those questions too. We want to make sure that we get the most out of every single training session. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get going here on everything. So first off, I'm just going to take the market analyzer that we have here and dive down into a little bit of what we have going on. Okay. So as we look at the market analyzer, you'll notice that I have two methods on here and an elite. Okay. Now the way that I add this stuff to the market analyzer is I go ahead and I go to indicators, and then I add the indicator that I want on here. Okay, so if we're looking at the APAs and stuff, then I just come down here, and instead of the ADL, I will select one of the APAzone's pieces of software. Okay, so that's what I'm doing on that one. Now over here on the Elite software, I'm just going to start at the top and work my way down. Okay, so we have the data series. So we can apply this to any of these different types of charts that you can put into NinjaTrader. Now the market analyzer only works for NinjaTrader. It's obviously something that's only inside of NinjaTrader. Okay, TradeStation has a radar screen, and we are working on getting that up and going here too with all these cool features. So you can see that we can select day here, and then you can put in if you want, I guess if you wanted to do every other day or something like that, you could put in a value there. Or if you want to do week, I would just put week instead of like doing like day and then like 5. You know, I'd probably just do 1 week type of deal. But then you also have down here underneath general, which is the number of bars that you have in the market analyzer. And then the market analyzer in that column actually load up. So it's not like it is in the normal charts where you're like, hey, let me pick how many days that I have loaded. Well, we have to do a little bit of math if you want to do the number of days loaded onto your market analyzer. So, you know, you'll have to say like, okay, well, if you want to do, well, in this case, it's really easy because 1 bar is equal to 1 day. But if we were down here on the minute chart, you know, I guess a 15-minute chart, then you'd have to do some math and add up if you wanted to have 30, 60, 90 days loaded, you know. And that's how many bars you would have there, right? All right, so those are the settings there. The other setting that I want to bring your attention to is this calculate on bar close, okay? If you have it set to true, then the software will only calculate when the bar closes. If you have it set to false, it's going to calculate on every single tick coming in, all right, which is cool and it's bad all at the same time. Let's just say that is different, okay? The reason why it's good is because you will get real-time indications of, let's say, like the methods over here. Whenever that diamond is plotting, hey, you know, we're confirming a zone, yay! The way that it's bad is that what if the candle doesn't end up forming in the direction that we were looking for it to form? And you're like, hey, the candle's going to form up, you know, we're in an uptrend, it's forming up, you know, and then in the last 30 seconds of that candle forming, it closes down, and you're like, oh no, you know. So that's the good and the bad and the ugly of this little setting right here. So I'm just going to leave it to true for right now. And then coming down actually to the indicator settings here, we have the start time, the end time, all that kind of stuff that we have in Elite. Now, this is the start and the end time for the time zones to be plotted. We have the Elite settings here, okay? And And the only elite settings that I would really recommend that you change is possibly this CTPB strength as well as the PAF strength down here. Okay. The other thing that you could possibly change is this as well. All right, but we've made settings videos over the Elite software, so I'm just going to refer it back to there. Now, this plot value, what this does is a couple of interesting things here. We can plot it to say, are we inside of the supply zone, inside a demand zone, and it basically gives us a true or false type of readout that the market analyzer can process from us from there. Okay, or we can be looking at the overall trend. Those are the main three settings that you can do. You can also play around with these other things too if you want to, but those are the main three that I would be looking at. All right. Now, coming along here, you can put in your email if you want the software to text you or email you alerts. Okay. And then down here at the very bottom, we have sell conditions. Now, sell conditions and these special alert conditions are actually really, really cool. Okay, so right here we have for the elite settings right now, we have if price is greater than 0, then we paint our text in our box green. If it's less than 0, then it's red. And if it equals 0, then it's at a rollover state. Okay. So that's what we're looking at as far as the different states go here on Elite. And I think it's really cool just because, you know, that it gives us a good idea of where we are in the curve of things. It gives us these wonderful numbers that read out with a +6 and a -6 on these settings here that we can say, hey, the market is super duper high, highly extended over here at the edge of the curve down there, and it's at the top of the curve over here on the dollar CAD. You know, that's the type of power that it gives. It allows us to analyze the curve just off of one deal, and also analyze the trend too. So it's actually multifunctional in that sense. All right. So moving along here, let's go ahead and look at the methodologies. Now, the cool thing about the market analyzer is you can set up these data series so that this one's running on minute time frames, this one's running on daily time frames, and you could have even more running on different time frames more than that. You know, if you wanted to, we could actually come in here and create a couple more settings, and we can come in and say, like, I want this running off of a 60-minute level, but I just want to know, when am I touching a zone? You know, like, when is that happening? All right, so then you come down there, you say, hey, for your plot, you say, when I'm in supply or when I'm in demand, let me know. And then you could change these alert conditions to say, hey, if it's greater than 1 or less than 1, because it's for inside a supply or inside of a demand, it's going to be either 1 if it's true and 0 if it's false. Okay. So that's what that looks like. So if it's greater than 0, then change this thing green or red or whatever it is. Okay. So I guess technically it would be looking like this. Another interesting special functionality in here, you can, it's basically the same panel all over again, and you put your alert conditions. Now the alert conditions actually apply to whatever the plot is that you're plotting on here. So once you know what plot you're dealing with, then you can say, like, hey, if the overall trend is less than 0, then that's what these conditions apply to. Okay. So this one actually allows you to send yourself an alert message and change the priority of the message and all that kind of stuff, what sound file to trigger, and you'll open up your alerts and say, hey, trigger this alert, or when this level crosses above or below or whatever it is, you know. These are the alert panel windows, and this one down here is really cool because this is a filter one. So look at this little readout here. It says removes a row from the market analyzer if the filter conditions are met. So let's say that we are not inside of a zone. Okay, if we're not inside of a zone, don't even show me the row. Okay, so if not inside the supply zone, if supply zone equals false, then don't show me any long signals, or any short signals, or whatever have you, So that allows us to take the row all the way out of the market analyzer, which I think is really, really cool, just because of, if you're not inside of a zone, then don't show me any signals, I don't care about any of the longs or shorts. It just takes that market completely off, Like maybe you say like, maybe you only want to look for the pullback zone. So maybe like only if a zone is 2, all right, or less. So all these 6s and 4s, you just filter them all out. And we can do that by just coming in here and saying elite, filter, and we're going to be filtering the overall trend. So that's right. If it's less than 2, less than a -2, then we're going to remove it. Okay, if it's greater than 2, then we're going to remove it. Okay, so all those still can be there, but it's just going to filter them all out. It's not going to show us all the readouts from them. Okay, so that's what that allows us to do. So that's a little bit of the market analyzer stuff. All right, so let's get over this and go into some of the other templates that we've built here for this thing. All right, so the next thing I want to move into is the multiple time frame analysis. And as we do so on all these different markets, just realize that with every single column that you load in with zones, it can take a lot of time for the software to load. And so don't be surprised if you click on the market analyzer, you load in all these really cool settings that you've just made or that you've loaded from one of our templates, and it just kind of sits there and says, you want me to do what? Well, it really is working. It just takes a while for it to load, okay? And that's just part of the scanning software. You've just asked it to do millions and millions of calculations and put it all into one nice little neat column for you, okay? So this is a multiple time frame analysis here so that we can instantly look at something, instantly look at a market, and I can say, hey, I'm inside of a daily demand over here, I'm inside of a 60-minute zone as well, but my trend is down, so I don't really even want to be considering that one. So over here I'm in a daily demand, 60-minute demand, and I'm also in an uptrend over here. So this is a market that I should be looking at, okay, because I have at least 2 time frames of confluence, all right, and so on and so forth, all right. So as we go up and down the list, if this thing is highlighting both demand and supply at the same time, what does that mean? Like, is that an error? Well, it's probably not an error. More than likely what that means is that the market's getting really, really consolidated. So you're just going through a lot of chop right now on that particular instrument. That's all that means, okay? So it's not anything wrong with the software. It just probably means that you're in a chop area, okay? So you need to look at what your overall trend is and be banking more so on the overall trend than it being into lower time frame zones that are just shopping around. So that's something else to be mindful on that. And with that being said, I think I've pretty much covered all the basic stuff that at least I feel is essential, and I'm just going to open it up for questions here. Okay, the other thing is I'm running with the Elite is actually powering all the multiple time frames, just so you guys can see that too on this market analyzer here. Elite's doing all of the heavy lifting with processing the 60-minute levels and the daily levels.